Sorry about that, everyone. I was having a hard time connecting to Instagram this morning. I don't know if they changed something or if I just, I don't know, did something wrong, but I got that done. So I actually changed my venue. I'm no longer coming to you from the living room, but from my office. So you can see all the wines behind me. And welcome, everybody. Sorry about the late start. We have an exciting episode this week of the Italian wine series with none other than Mauro Veglio from Piedmont. I cannot wait. This is going to be a great foray into more Barolo and Nebbiolo and all the other great wines from the estate. We'll be joined by Alessandro Veglio as well. So let me just see if I can find them and let's get them invited in. Hopefully I can do that, right? Hold on. I hope everybody is doing well. And I hope that everybody is getting ready for the holiday season without too much trouble. Eccolo. Send request. So hopefully we'll get connected soon. I see a lot of people joining. It's always a pleasure to see everybody. Eccoli.
Ciao, Monica.
I'm so sorry. It took me a really long time to get into Instagram. I'm not sure what was happening, but I kept pressing the live and nothing was happening.
Don't worry.
Don't worry. Listen,
No
so
problem.
who do you have there? I see Mauro. Hello. Hello. I see
Also
you.
Daniela
Who's
is
sitting
here.
behind you?
Hello, Monica.
It's Daniela, Mauro's wife.
Hi, Daniela. Hi. How are you? How are you?
Fine.
Is everybody good?
Okay. Yeah. We're safe, we're happy, so it's perfect.
But,
So listen.
but Monica, tell us, what are you drinking today? Behind
Oh
you?
my God, look at this. And then you can see the boxes below here. You see the boxes? Those I have to open. It's the entire pool table, and the entire pool table is full of boxes underneath. So I have a lot of work to do.
Just taste and send us the bottles.
Yeah, exactly. So listen, before we start, speaking of sending things, I have to absolutely show you something because I was blown away. I got from Alba, somebody sent me. It was actually the guys from, do you know the mailboxes, etc. store in Alba? You know what they sent me? Look at this.
I see this morning.
You saw
big.
this morning? I have to show you because I cannot, I put it back inside its, tonight I'm going to be, oh my God, I can smell it. Look at this. I just have to show everybody because it is such a beautiful thing. Okay, look at this.
Wow.
Look.
It's huge. It's huge.
And it just, oh.
You can put it on a ring. You can put it on a ring.
I can, exactly, I can wear it here. I feel like I just entered Italy with this. It's incredible. It's incredible. It was a beautiful surprise. And in fact, they sent me,
with it?
I think I'm going to make tagliatelle and just make a simple tagliatelle with it. I don't know. Because how long can it last? Only a few days, no? 4 days, maybe?
Yeah.
As short as possible.
Yeah.
As short as possible. Okay. So tonight, stasera. I was very happy. It was a very nice, nice surprise. So listen, so here we are. Okay, so tell us a little bit as we get started. I see a lot of people invited for dinner. A lot of people are saying hello. I see from Georgia. If anybody has any questions throughout this Instagram Live, please go ahead and ask them. We'll try to get to everybody. And also, if you'd like to tell us where you're from, where you're writing, where you're watching from. Somebody wrote calling customs now. I actually thought of that. I will say hello to everybody from the different countries that they're watching us from. So as we get started, so how have you been? How have you, Alessandro, and your family been for these last months that we've gone through this strange time?
I'm saying that at this first lockdown having a lockdown in countryside with the possibility to work in the vineyards with gardens. It's not like to be in the city at the second or third floor in an apartment. So we are absolutely privileged. So we had a lot of restriction. You cannot see your friends. You cannot see many of your relatives. But at the end, our life it was almost the same because we had the opportunity to work. We had the opportunity to do everything outside to go to the restaurant. This was the biggest problem.
But now things have kind of gotten back to lockdown, right? Lockdown mode.
Yeah. For sure, the quarantine and the lockdown is bad, but not for us. We have to be honest. Absolutely.
So speaking of this last harvest and whatnot, I mean, obviously in terms of the truffle season, 2020 looks very promising. But how was it in the vineyard? How was 2020 in the vineyards?
At least 2020 for the harvest, it was very good news. I'm sure Mauro can say the same, even if he don't speak English. But at least in 2020 we had a great harvest. You will, I'm sure you all will speak very well about the harvest because. It was quite strange because in my experience, this was my vintage like number 16 in my life, and it was the longest that I had because we started quite early. It seemed the classic warm vintage that start early and obviously finish early at the same time. But at the end, we started very early with the Dolcetto, and then the day after Dolcetto, we started with the Barbera because it was dry in the last days of August and the beginning of September. And so we started immediately with Barbera. Barbera was made the maturation that makes usually in couple of weeks, in 1 week. And so we needed to run and pick all the Barbera in 2 days and a half, 3 days, something like this. And after that, fortunately, because this is usually not the best condition for Nebbiolo. Fortunately, after that, we had climatic changing, temperature changing, so more cold in the morning and during the night. Couple of two or three small rain that refreshed a little bit, and at the end we had 15 days later the best conditions to pick the Nebbiolo, and so we cannot ask something better for this. So in the same year, that is not so common. In the same vintage, in my opinion, we had the great Barbera and the great Nebbiolo harvest. So nothing better than this.
That's interesting because usually it's either one or the other, and then Nebbiolo can be quite finicky. So if it's a good vintage for Nebbiolo, which is usually means a longer season, maybe a little bit cooler, then it's not as agreeable to a grape like Barbera or even Dolcetto that likes to have a little bit more heat. I know that some other producers were telling me that in 2020 there was even, you mentioned that kind of cooling down period right before harvest. And I know that other people have told me about that even there was like a little bit of frost, it got so cold. So it was almost like an old traditional vintage that you haven't seen in, in many years, when you get that cool end of the season.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. It's true. So we are happy. We are absolutely happy about the harvest. Yeah,
So listen, I
we
have to ask.
yeah we
So
are not. Yeah, tell me.
there are the old adages: if it's a good vintage for wine grapes, it's not a good vintage for truffles. So this is another mysterious thing about 2020. You have everything.
No, but fortunately, fortunately, we also knew a few days after the second lockdown started here in Piedmont that truffle hunters are still allowed to search truffles, and you have the proof. Yeah, but
I
so
have
tell
the
me,
proof.
but today is today your birthday?
No, it was on November 5th, but
Mi-
I guess
Mine
they.
is six. Mine is six.
Yours is the 6th. Oh, what Auguri, happy
Yeah.
birthday!
Happy birthday, both.
No, no, mine was, I was a big birthday too. I turned 50, so it was a big one. And I had made all these plans. In fact, I saw someone saying hello from Istanbul, my favorite city. I wanted to go to Turkey for my 50th birthday, and I was going to rent a gulet, the boat to do the Aegean Sea. And then,
Yeah.
of course, that got canceled. And then I made another plan to go to Sicily, and that got canceled. And then I made another plan to do something here in California, and that got canceled. So in the end, we just went with my family to dinner, and that's it. That's all
Yeah,
you could
not
do.
easy. For example, for us, we had a couple of people that comes every year to visit that they booked and canceled 3 times this year.
3 times.
So it was very difficult.
It's crazy. So I just wanted to say, I hope I got everybody, but I saw people saying hello from Denmark, Hungary, California, Sweden, the Netherlands, excuse me, Brazil, Italy, Argentina, Valpolicella, Boston, and Istanbul. There we go. So many people watching. Thank you, everybody. Listen, if we have Mauro here. Maybe between the both of you, could you tell us a little bit about the history of the estate of Mauro Veglio? Tell us a little bit about the
Yeah.
founding and the history. And I know you have a lot of new things to tell us too, because you have a
Yeah.
new wine, you have a lot of exciting things, a reserva. So there are a couple of good things to
Yeah, we have
talk
a
about.
lot. Yeah, we have a lot of news, and also one that you don't know already. So, yeah, Mauro Veglio, as Mauro Veglio started in '92 with the first vintage. But the vineyard, all the vineyard that we work today, was the main part of them was collected my grandfather Angelo, Mauro's father, that you
Mm-hmm.
can see, that you can see here.
Oh yes,
Is my
yes.
grandfather Angelo, and he started in the '60s. The first vineyard that he collected was Gattera, and after that, in '78, he bought the estate, the estate here in Cascina Nuova, where we are. That put together Arborina vineyard and Rocche dell'Annunziata, together with 4 shabby walls, destroyed the roof, and so, nothing less. So it was yeah, nothing more. It was not even an house. Then in '96, 4 years after Mauro had the first harvest, they added Castelletto, that is in Monforte, not in La Morra, and Castelletto is coming from the family of Daniela, my aunt, Mauro's wife. And this was the place. Castelletto is the place in Monforte d'Alba where Daniela is born and raised. The vineyard from her father, And we always joking saying that the father-in-law of Mauro, before to give him his vineyard, he wanted to prove his capacity to make wines. So he didn't give the vineyard immediately, but just 4 years after. And the very important thing for us to let people know about Castelletto, we always say that is that Mauro Veglio winery in '96 it was the first winery to put Castelletto on the label, and after that other producers started. And regarding the last years, I joined me and Mauro. We didn't start immediately to work together. As you asked me before, and many people ask us, I'm not the son of Mauro, but I'm the nephew. So I'm the brother. So the son of his brother,
Right?
his older brother. And
may I?
Yeah.
We also waited 10 years that he proved to be good in his winery in order to ask him to add to join us. Just like my father.
Tough family. You have a tough family.
more or less, you have to pass a proof in the family.
You have to pass the test.
Yeah. And I started when Mauro started to make wines. The estate from my grandfather was divided. My father took just a small vineyard, a small piece in Gattera, because he was making another job. He was for his entire life a builder. He was working in building. Right now he's retired. And from this vineyard, I started to make my own wines in 2005. I work alone with my own brand Alessandro Veglio for 12 years, and then in 2017, and this is for us the great story to let people know this, because this is something very different in these days, because as you know, because of the value of the vineyard, because of the value of the land here, many producers someone are selling, someone are dividing. Our story is very different, because in 2017, in a day, it was July, Mauro called me and told me, can you come here, because I need to let you see something. And when I arrived in the winery, I immediately see that it was nothing to see. And after 5 minutes, he told me, but we were thinking, me and Daniela, what do you think if I was, after 10 years, I was thinking to enlarge my winery, because fortunately, after 8-9 years, things was going better for my previous winery, and so I needed more space. And so he told me, what do you think, instead to build a new winery, to make a new mortgage, a lot of money and everything, to join me? We worked together for some years, and then you will continue without us in a day. And it was a big proposal, quite unexpected. And yeah,
So
but he told me.
Instead of the trend, obviously, as you mentioned, because of the land value going up, might be to break apart estates. No, but you're saying that in your case, you have the fortune of consolidating talent, consolidating the winery efforts, which is rare. And another beautiful thing that most, I'm sure, our viewers know about, especially about the Langhe and the wine tradition, is that it is so seamlessly passed down from generation to generation, from father to son, from uncle to nephew, from father to daughter, and this has been one of the most, the bedrock, most solid cultural aspects to keep the wine region so tightly knit, and so successful in the end, because there is a real need to maintain those traditions. So your story just beautifully illustrates exactly that point of putting the families together, and joining resources?
Yeah, mostly, mostly he told me, I know what my father, he said, what my grandfather, the efforts that my grandfather made to collect the vineyard, to maintain the vineyards, because it was so different times. 40, 50, 60 years ago, it was very poor area, and also our family was quite modest, so it was big efforts to maintain the vineyards and to buy the vineyards, to pay the mortgage, etc. And so he told me, I know the efforts that all the family made, and him too. So he told me, if you want to do that, I will be happy, because I don't want to write. The main point is that they don't have children. So he told me the main point is that I don't want to write in a day to give the key of my winery to someone
Right.
and,
Wants to be...
and go away. So I would like to maintain everything in the family, and me too. I would like that my son will continue like us.
And yet another generation. Let's take, I mean, your uncle's sitting right there. I'm not sure if he can maybe describe, it would be really wonderful to get an idea of how much things have changed. You know, you mentioned even 30 years ago, things were so different, but what are some of the most...
Come sono cambiate le cose da 30 anni fa?
Tanto. Sono cambiate tante, però è giusto così, giusto. Si deve andare avanti e si cerca sempre di migliorare. L'importante è quello, cercare di fare sempre il meglio possibile.
Yeah,
È giusto che ci siano anche le nuove generazioni con nuove idee. Quello è molto importante.
Mauro saying that things have changed quite a bit, but it's right. It's the good thing that they do change, because that's the right road to take, and that it's a good sign that there's a new generation to step in, you know, to continue that legacy, those traditions that are so strong to the territory. So listen, we talked about La Mora, Monforte, and I know that you also have a new wine from Barolo, no? There you
Barolo.
go.
What we are drinking? Yeah. No, it's great. So when Mauro gave me this opportunity, immediately it was great for me, because it's I like this work. I love to work with so many different vineyards with different characteristics. And in 2016, in my last vintage alone, I personally rented this vineyard in Barolo, the Paiagallo. That is the new entry from 2016. So right now, together, more than La Morra and Monforte, we have also Barolo from Barolo Village. And what I told you is the most recent news is that from 2019 we will have also a Barolo del Comune di Saralunga, because from 19 we also rented a new vineyard in Saralunga. And so this is very exciting for us, also because we rented this vineyard with our greatest friend in the region, in the Barolo area. There is his name is Mauro Veglio, and it was great, because when they asked us to rent this vineyard, it was too big for us, because almost 4 hectares, almost 5 hectares, sorry.
Wow.
And 5 hectares for the size of our winery, it means to enlarge the winery. And so we don't want it to do that. So we asked to our friend to split the vineyard with us. he accepted, and right now to have a new project together with a friend is great. It's very exciting.
Where is it exactly, and in which crew is it?
The crew is outside the center of Sellarunga. Is close to Ornato and Falletto. Is more or less between the two vineyards. Is divided into less known MGA. They are called Manocino and Lirano. So mostly for the reason of the two different single vineyards, we decided to make a Barolo del Comune di Serralunga.
So you have a classic Barolo that you release almost every year, and then now you'll have a Barolo del Comune di Serralunga, so it's village specific, and then of course you have the Arborina, Castelletto, Gattera, and Paiagallo, representing so representing how many villages? Three more villages: Amora, Monforte, and Barolo.
Yeah, we are representing 4 villages.
4 villages altogether.
Yeah, that okay. Already Serralunga was unexpected. When we joined forces, we said, me and Mauro, honestly, also in front to our wives, we don't want to have more vineyards. But then it was February 19. I was in USA traveling, and Mauro in the morning called me just to say hello. And then he told me, then when you return, we have to speak about something. I said, about what? What happened? Something serious? No, just a friend of me asked me if I want to rent a new vineyard, but I told him I needed to speak with you, and also I told him we already said we don't want to add new vineyards. Yeah, I said, stop to say shit. Where is the vineyard? The vineyard is in Serralunga. Okay, tell him to stay still, and then we go to see the vineyard when I return, and it was we decided to take the vineyard.
I know that you're trying not to enlarge the winery, but I think, prima poi, you're going to have to look at that too.
Prima poi, no. I always say I just hope nobody will arrive with Villero from Castiglione Falletto.
Then you're good, right? So tell us also another important change that you're making is that you're adding a riserva, which is that's a whole other discussion too, because you've never made a riserva, no? And I know that you mentioned that this was something you've been hoping to do. The estate has been hoping to do for a while, but it was just a matter of deciding what the best parcel was to use as a riserva.
But no. Mostly, Mauro told me it was something like a project for years, but he never decided to do that. And then when we started to work together, it was like a new energy together. So you can also see he looks younger now. Thanks to me. So
everybody looks great. Everybody looks younger.
Yeah, so it was quite easy to decide for Rocche dell'Annunziata, because if you put on a table the name of our single vineyards, Rocche dell'Annunziata is for sure the most prestigious, and so it was quite easy for us to decide for that vineyard, and it was also quite natural to decide for 2016, because 2016, you tasted several Barolo, and it was great. And we wanted, we decided if we never made as a Riserva, we want to start with the best vineyard and with the best vintage. And so Rocche dell'Annunziata in 2016, it was together. It was the best decision for us.
So listen, let's talk a little bit about the vineyards themselves, because and again, if anybody has any questions, please go ahead and ask them. But one question that we've seen quite a bit in other Instagram lives, especially when we're talking about Piemonte, is have you seen any effects of climate change? Have you seen any effects in the vineyards of climate change? I know that hail has become quite a problem that maybe now is beginning to affect maybe one in three vintages in a more dramatic way. So what have you been seeing the changes in the countryside, and what are the patterns that you see emerging?
Absolutely, we have seen changing because the global warming is something under the eyes of all the people. So also here in the Langhe. So maybe for that reason, 2016 it was outstanding in the last 5 or 10 vintages, because it was not so hot like many others. But also about both about the temperature and the hail. What Mauro decided to do years ago in 2013, starting from Arborina, one of the best decisions that, in my opinion, he made in the last 10 years, it was to start to put hailstorm nets in the vineyards. And he started in 2013, no? He started in 2013 in Arborina because it was 2 years in a row that he had small hailstorms that damages not the quantity but the quality of the Arborina. So he decided to start the Arborina because many people was quite insecure about the nets because of the treatments, because of the illness. People don't know yet a lot of things about
right.
nets.
It changes. It could change the temperature, because putting nets on the plants could even change the luminosity, could change the temperature, it could change a lot of things that are yet to be determined.
But in my opinion, it was one of the greatest decision to even raise the quality of the wines, because I always say to the people, I would like that people come here when we are close to the harvest to see the quality and the freshness of the grapes behind the nets. And it's huge because, okay, you are safe against the hailstorms, and this is the most important thing. But mostly what we just discovered in the last 4 or 5 vintages is that, okay, the global warming, but also very important to let people know and understand is that mostly are the sunlights, the intensity of the sunlight that is more and more bigger. So we have sorry?
Sunburn.
Yeah, we have the same problem that we have that we can have in the quality with the hailstorm. We can also have with burned grapes. So if you go in vineyards without nets, you can immediately understand where is the warmth exposure, because you see the grapes are burned because of the sunlight. Behind the nets, there is a little bit of shadow, and grapes remain much more fresh. We have no berries that are burned. We maintain the quality of the skins that, as I think you know, is the most important thing for red wines, and this is really a great decision. And if people go in the Langhe right now, there are more and more producers that are starting to use nets.
Yeah, you see it. I mean, you know, it's also not without its controversy, because I would say the majority of growers are, as you are, very happy to embrace them because of all the benefits that the netting brings. And as you just mentioned, with Nebbiolo in particular, that has such a sensitive skin, and tends to lose its color so quickly, going from that beautiful kind of ruby purplish color to a brown, you know, with too much with sunburn. It's a problem. So of course that's an added benefit. But you know that it does, from another point of view, change the landscape because the vineyards are netted. But you know, you can't have everything. I'm in California. We use netting here, but for a different reason. We use it because we have birds that just eat, you know, half of our crop.
No, but
the birds, but we don't
I
have
know,
hail, but we have birds.
I know about the landscape, but we use black nets that when you have vegetation on the vines, you don't see from far away.
Right.
And also I listened to a producer that said thinking about the Lange and everything. If we are in the UNESCO, we are because of the vineyards, because of the business around the vineyards and everything. So we have to preserve the vineyards, and this is very important to do that. So
for us, the quality is always more important than the aesthetical. Only aesthetical reasons make no sense. If it works to make quality better or to save environment, then we get used to see them, and then it's more so bad.
Exactly. And then also, I mean, as we mentioned, things are changing. Hail is becoming more frequent. It's becoming more and more of an issue. I mean, maybe even Mauro can tell us, because you know, 20 years ago, the frequency of these hailstorms was not as you know, as dramatic as it is now.
frequenza fino a 20 anni fa.
Erano altri tempi, altre cose.
He said it was different. For example, it was you remember about 2002. We all remember about 2002. I was very young in 2002, but I remember the hailstorms before the harvest. And this is quite impossible to understand what this can be for a wine producer. It was one very similar to this last year, 2019. It was a quite big hailstorm, September 6th, and for us with the nets it was no problem. But if you don't have the nets,
risk
an hailstorm in September, you completely lose your production,
your year of work. Yeah. And I know that there are certain corridors that are more exposed, maybe even going over Arborina in La Mora. There are certain areas of they're just a little bit more vulnerable.
Yeah,
Listen,
but if you are in that area, it's a big problem.
Exactly. A huge problem. So listen, let's talk a little bit about the soils, because obviously, I mean, this is kind of more of a, you know, people who are really fascinated by Barolo, and especially since you have such a unique vision in farming in so many different villages. Can you tell us about the variation that you have in your soils and how they react to a grape like Nebbiolo, if we take Nebbiolo as an example?
But first of all, okay, I have to say, I'm not so geek about the soils, but I can tell you that the soil of the Lange is the fortune of the Lange, because the reason why in the area the Barolo and the Barbaresco is so unique, and you can obtain so outstanding and different results with the Nebbiolo is the soil. The mix between the clay, the barn, and the sand is quite unique. the white soil. I didn't travel a lot in so many wine regions, but the color of the soil that you see here, that is white when it's dry, you don't see in other places. But for example, but also to think about the difference in expression from a Barolo from Arborina compared to a Barolo from Castelletto that is just 15 kilometers far is different to understand, because and the Arborina is much more clay. The soil makes Barolo more fine and more elegant. That is the end the style that we like to follow in the winery. In Castelletto, the composition in Monforte in general, Monforte and Saralunga are so different compared to Barolo, and the minerality of the soil is more calcareous, make Barolo are completely different. So with bigger tannins, more structure. The Castelletto, we always say maybe is the most different of our Barolo, because it's a Barolo that maybe you have to wait a little bit more, but shows totally different characteristics compared to La Morra. But even Arborina and Gattera, that are so close, are different. So it's something unique about the soil in the Langhe. In vineyard, they are close 1 kilometer farther one from the other. But as I told you, is the fortune that we have, because differently we could make people can make Barolo everywhere.
And now you're adding Serralunga d'Alba, which will be a whole other taste profile, completely different.
Yeah, this is very exciting for us. So there is a few people, and I'm happy about that. Few people told us, but it will not be too much Barolo together. And I always say, if you like to do that, you just be excited about to have so many different single vineyard to work with, because also what we are doing, very important to let people know, is that what we are doing in the last years is to work our single vineyards in vinification in the same way, in order to just people taste the difference that is coming from the vineyard. And this is very, very important for us to communicate.
So, I mean, coming up, the wine, you know, when we see the wine from the Comune di Serralunga d'Alba, where we can expect, you know, more richness, a little bit more kind of like ferrous qualities, or kind of rusty nail qualities. And then your wines, the two wines from La Morra, from Gattera and Arborina, you know, always kind of show that the typical characteristics there are a very delicate mouthfeel, delicate tannins, some beautiful floral notes, a lot of intricacy in terms of the perfumes. And Monforte de Castelletto always has kind of a precision or a sharpness or directness, again, with these kind of mineral notes that give the wine a lot of edginess and directness. And then your, you know, the newest wine from Barolo, the Paiagallo, also has that kind of that nice balance between the elegance and the power of the site. But in the classic Barolo, are you going to introduce fruit from Serralunga d'Alba as well, or that's only going to go to the Comune?
We will, because okay, in the Classico. So first of all, it's very important to let people know that. As I told you, Rocche dell'Annunziata, that you always miss, is the smallest of our vineyards. Is a little bit more than 3,000 square meters, and Paiagallo is around 6,500 square meters. So these are two small vineyards. And all the grapes that are coming from these two vineyards just go in the single vineyard Barolo. Then we have Arborina, Gattera, and Castelletto that are our biggest vineyards. Arborina is 2.5 hectares. Gattera is almost 3.5 hectares, and Castelletto is a little bit more than 3 hectares. But the single vineyard production are small productions. So at the moment, since years, the Barolo Classico is the result of 40% of Gattera, 30% of Castelletto, and 30% of Arborina. From 2019, we will have okay, a little bit more Classico for sure, and something like 15% of Saralunga d'Alba. Because as I told you, the vineyard is big. We divided in two. We have almost 2 hectares each of Nebbiolo da Barolo, and so we make 50 hectoliters of Barolo del Comune di Saralunga, and the remaining part of the vineyards goes in the blend of the Classico.
So it will be called Barolo del Comune, but it will be the quality of a cru, of a single vineyard.
Yeah, we work with it like it is a single vineyard for us.
La parte in alto.
The highest part of the vineyard, and this I always say that in this way, adding also Saralunga, I always say that having vineyards so different like Arborina and Gattera in La Morra and Castelletto in Monforte, and adding more Saralunga, I always say that, in my opinion, our Barolo Classico is the Barolo that can give to the consumer the biggest peak about how was the harvest in that vintage, because you have so many different vineyards with so different character that if the blend is well done, you can have maybe the best Barolo, but is always underrated because it's without the name of the vineyard on the label.
Right.
There is still the idea of a Barolo base and like easygoing Barolo. We always refuse this idea. Barolo is Barolo. The base is the Langhe Nebbiolo. And so the Barolo Classico is anyway high quality as the other Barolo.
The problem about the Barolo Classico is that for many years, from brokers, importers, or producers at the first years of winemaking, so without less experiences and knowledge, has been sold like Barolo Base, Barolo Normale, basic Barolo, Barolo Normal Barolo, but these are very bad words to promote your wines, because if you make a basic wine, if you make a normal wine, start to make this wine, in my opinion. And in my opinion, Barolo Classico, mostly for producers like us with so many vineyards, is the best way to let people understand, because this was returning to my grandfather. This was in the past the way to make
the real tradition.
Yeah, and also the few bottles of Barolo that farmers was making. My grandfather was a real farmer, so he was taking care about the vineyard. He has fruits. He was a kind of old butcher, because he was in the village. It was called, in dialect, it was called massacring. So he was the man that was going in the farm to kill and cut the pig to make salami and all different pieces.
That's a hard nickname to carry. The massacre,
yeah.
Right? The person who does the massacres.
Exactly.
The killer.
And the way, in those times, the way to make the Barolo, the few Barolo that was boiled, it was putting the best grapes from the different plots, And this is more or less the concept that we are making the Barolo Classico today.
Yeah, I mean, it's a shame that the Barolo Classico, in a sense, has suffered only because there's no name to call it. You know, there is no category. So people use the word normale or base Barolo because they didn't know what else to call it. But in a sense, I mean, as we were just saying, of course, the tradition and the enormous creativity that a Barolo Classico gives is that it gives the vintner the chance then to blend the fruit according to vintage and to make the wine that they aspire to make. So you're not closed in by a single vineyard. You have this freedom of expression. And then maybe in a sense, you know, since the Menzioni Geografiche Aggiuntive, since the MGA or the vineyard cruise became so popular, that discussion dominated all of discussion of Barolo. And now, happily, we're going back to an idea of rediscovering the magic and the potential and the creativity behind the Barolo Classico, you know. But we're still missing that word because you just say Barolo. Even when I write my reviews, it's hard for me to, you know, I want to differentiate. This is the Barolo, and I use the word classic Barolo. But it's really only just a matter of the lexicon, you know, the wording, which is a little bit awkward.
But my idea is that what I like about the last years is that finally the wine is promoted in the right way. Also, for example, I appreciate about you didn't ask about aging, about small or big barrels. Finally, when I told you when I started to make wines,
Alessandro, it was on my list.
Yeah, it was just, no, but at the end, at least it wasn't the first question, because
are you a traditionalist or a modernist, right?
Yeah, when I started to make wines, it was just you use small barrels or big barrels. Just this was the question. And what I like right now is that the Nebbiolo is on the center of the discussion, and this is the most important thing, because also many times people asking us why you are not making white wines. We are not making white wines at the moment because we feel.
I have to be just okay. I'll just turn it off. Okay, sorry. So we were talking about white wines.
We never started to make a white wine because we feel so lucky to be in an area like the Barolo area. I always say traveling and meeting all their wine importers, also from Italy, that they say you are so lucky to have Barolo. You don't have to speak too much to let people understand your wines, and so we are very. Nebbiolo deserve to be promoted in the right way, and this is the way that is promoted in the last years. I think this is what I think.
You know, on a personal note, when I started my wine career, it was the same. People were being categorized in the exact same way. Do you like wines made from barrique or botte grande? And then it became so ideological and in a sense, you know, limiting, because you were either classified as one or the other. And I guess this even goes to the, you know, the so-called Parker palette and all that. So I understand the frustration of a wine region like, you know, Barolo, that has also had that same kind of duality, that either you have to be of one school or the other. And this has been kind of brought up in the media and, you know, by wine lovers. And this seems to be this dominant theme. But then in the end, when you taste the wines, you know, of course, stylistically, there's so many beautiful styles to appreciate. But I can't say that maybe a wine aged in barrique somehow has a shorter lifespan. or that a wine aged in Botte Grande has a longer lifespan. That's absolutely not something that's ever come through in the tasting. So it becomes less, you know, this kind of dogma attached to the two schools becomes less important when you really look at the wines in the long term, you know, and then of course it becomes more interesting from my point of view to try to understand a little bit more about the history of the estate and the people behind it and why they made the choices that they're making, and of course the vineyards and the soils and, you know, the place, you know, right, the place, the expression of place. So
no, but what I always say is that, in my opinion, the oak in the winemaking is a support, and you have to use it in the best way. Then we start. Mauro started like modernist, and if you ask him, he can tell you, I'm proud to be to have been called like modernist, because to start make wines in this way, in a different way from my father, in his case, changed my life, and so I would be always grateful about the changing, about what we did. And one of the first things that we discussed together when we started to work together, it was he told me he was very open when we made me the proposal. He told me, I would like to be I would like to work side by side, and not you are down to me. And if we have to take a decision and you are on a different vision, I would listen at your idea, because if I make this decision, you are the future. But he told me, if you don't stop to use small barrels, or if you don't make wines in a totally different way, it would be great for me, because I made wine in this way for almost 30 years, and this is very important for me. And this is what we are doing today. You know, we are still working with small barrels, with the Arborina, the Gattera, the Castelletto, and the Rocche dell'Annunziata. Paiagallo is a new entry, and I told you, I made personally in 2016, before to join Mauro, the wine that you tasted this year. I started to make it in big barrel because I wanted to do something different. We are doing that the same for the Saralunga. I would like to say we are a new modernist. So we are
revisited modernist.
Yeah, we are trying to keep the best thing from all kind of vinification. Also, our maceration right today are longer compared in the past. We have reduced the new oak in order just to feel just to reach balance. Mm-hmm. When personally, many people that listen to me, or they had tasting with me, I always say that for me the most important word in the winemaking is balance. And balance, it means about the oak or the tannins in the Barolo, the acidity or the alcohol in the Barbera. You know, the last vintages are more and more warm and so alcoholic for the Barbera, that it always doesn't stop about the maturation. And so you need to feel the balance, and this is the most important thing. And then for me, it's not important how to reach the result. Just you have to reach this result.
So yeah, so you can always tweak, either using a combination of new and neutral barrique, and then, as you said, playing around with longer maceration times. Listen, we're going to have to close up soon, but because I have been neglectful of the Rocche dell'Annunziata, I wanted to ask, just to make sure. So we will see the 2016 vintage released in 2022.
2022, no? Exactly.
2022, yep. And then it'll be as a riserva.
Exactly. Yes. 2 years more of aging. It was bottled in the same days, but we decided to make a reserve in the bottle. We can decide, and so our decision it was to make the reserve 2 years more in the bottle.
Wonderful. All right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Mauro, thank you. Alessandro, thank you. Claudia, già sì?
Daniela.
Daniela, scusami,
Claudia,
Daniela.
Daniela.
Scusami. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody, and listen. It's been a wonderful conversation, and thank you. And I can't wait to taste the new releases when we get there, and of course the Riserva for the first time. So we have exciting things to look forward to.
But also, Monica,
yes.
This morning I told you it will be a pleasure for me to meet you for the first time, even if virtually. I hope to see you personally soon, because
I hope so.
This kind of virtual tasting or interview, it was maybe one of the best things that we had during this bad period. But I really hope to have soon again people in the winery, and because to visit the wineries for me is always the best thing.
You're right, and I miss my trips. I've been here in California for pretty much a year, and I don't know. Who knows when I'll be able to go back home. So we'll see.
Hopefully soon.
Hopefully soon. Bene, grazie. Thank you, everybody.
Grazie.
Un abbraccio.
Ciao Monica, grazie.
Thank you. Grazie.
Ciao, grazie.
Ciao, ciao.